Tankwa. So one of my favorite factoids concerns the Hubble Deep Space image. They pointed the Hubble telescope at a patch of sky, the darkest one they could find in the night sky. And the size of this patch of sky is a 50-cent piece held 25 meters away from your eye. And in that tiny patch of sky, they found 10,000 light sources. And each of those light sources is a galaxy, and each of those galaxies has 100,000 stars in it. The scale is inconceivable. And somehow, this mammal, like you, a creature on this remote corner of the Milky Way galaxy, just one of the billions of galaxies, is so concerned with the immediacy of his life, and at the same time carries the knowledge of his utter insignificance at that scale. It's miraculous, and it's quite something to dwell upon as one suffers up a hill in the Tankwa. Yes, the Tankwa, scene of much suffering. I'm always reminded of a video that one of the more experienced Manganites put up on the Manga WhatsApp group just prior to the one Manga I did in 2024. He's riding through this landscape, and very dramatically he says, "This place is forgotten by God." And it's easy to see when you're suffering with 800 kilometers in the legs why you would feel that, but riding here on fresh legs post the winter rains, with the desert looking alive, full of God's presence, including Sint-Plaat. So I headed out this morning on a little loop, well, there and out and back, on the back of a long period, well, a good week of being out, of riding with various other commitments. 168 days until the 2026 Manga. I am well off course with my training. If you don't know where the Tankwa karoo is, it's in the northern and western Cape, in a triangle defined by Calvinia, Sutherland and Ceres, about a 4.5-hour drive from Cape Town. It's a sun-baked, semi-arid plain. It's overlooked by the rugged mountains of the Roggeveld escarpment. There are two main routes up onto the escarpment. One is the Ganega Pass, pictured here. The other is Oberg, which is rockier and a little bit harder to get up. Other 4x4 trails wind through the park, and they lead onto stunning lookout points over the vast plain below. It's a place of great diversity, obviously fauna and flora, very harsh landscape, although recent rains have brought the desert to life here. Lots of flowers. It's a beautiful place to find oneself. It's a great place to come and cycle. The silence is inspiring and lends the whole landscape a sacred, ancient, peaceful air. The Tankwa. So happy to be here. Do we like it? Yes, we do. We like it a lot. I've been thinking about the idea of psychic ley lines. A ley line is a concept developed in the 1920s by an archaeologist observing sacred sites in British Isles, and he observed that you could draw straight lines between the axes of these sacred sites like Stonehenge and various other of the old Druidic ruins and remnants that are there. And he said that there was some kind of trading route, ancient trading route like Bronze Age, that connected these sacred sites, and he developed a whole archaeological theory around that concept, and it's largely been discredited. Specifically in the 60s, another bunch of researchers used computers to look at the fact that you could do the same thing for branches of Woolworths throughout the United Kingdom. So that's a bit of a spanner in the works for him. But then the esoteric, for old Watkins, it was a spanner in the works, that is. But then the esoteric movement in the sort of 80s picked it up and kind of talking about ley lines, sacred magnetic or so-called sacred lines aligning various ancient sites throughout the world. And that is a legitimate field of study. There is lots of evidence about the pyramids being aligned in particular ways and so on. But I was thinking about the concept of psychic ley lines as being some kind of tacit, natural, deep correctness that can inform behavior and thinking and action in the world. And something happens when one attends to the natural order, whatever that might be. And here we're on shaky ground, because what is the natural order and how do we decide what's natural? But there definitely is a sense of rightness and certainty, and also a certain release of emotion when one behaves and think in accordance with something that feels intuitively close to the natural order of things. That's like looking after one's children, looking after the vulnerable people, taking care of this incredible set of natural resources. Well, such a stupid word, natural resources. What do I mean? The beauty that surrounds us, all of this. Not impinging on it too heavily, or considering one's part in it and behaving in a way toward it that acknowledges that it's bigger and more important. Anyway, such are the abstractions that come to the Mamil on long rides. Maybe it's like in these endurance rides, what is it that makes a person want to ride 1,000 kilometers across the country, or even longer in the case of the race across South Africa, or the Freedom Challenge or something like that. Although the portage on the Freedom Challenge is just not for me, I can tell you that right now. And also the lack of technology. Not doing these things without navigation, electronic navigation, would be very tricky for me. I think I got a G for Form 2 geography, so that's a recipe for disaster. Maybe what it is that attracts people, me, mammals like me, to this is the connection with this natural world, the mechanical riding of the bicycle, the keeping of the body busy. The soma is occupied with the task, repetitive task of turning the pedals, and that leaves mind, frees mind somehow, connects it with all of this. Oh, I'm just rambling. But there is the seeds of a good idea in there somewhere, because we lack that kind of the thought about what's correct, what is morally the proper thing to do. We're living in an age where that is largely subjugated to ego and will, power. Speaking of power, this is zone 2, 200 watts, heavy going in the sand. But look at where we are. Go, go, go!